welcome Sir Ken Robinson to the South. I don't know if you've had any Georgia ice cream, but we call those grits here in Atlanta.
I wonder what grits were. Is that
Yes, that's what it is. But we're the home of grits, sweet tea, and Chick-fil-A, and now, of course, here the Chick-fil-A Leadercast. And you bring certainly an international component to this experience, with all the work that you've done on innovation and creativity and the recognition that you've received from Fortune, Time, The Economist, and a number of other publications. We are delighted that you're here. Rescue us here in the U.S. as it relates to our education system. I know that you speak a lot and write a lot about the need for reformation and the whole approach that we use toward educating the next generation. And I'd be curious to know if you've seen any examples of unique and refreshing ways in which we're educating our children here in the U.S.
Well, yes, but you're right. There are big problems for the education system. And one of them, I think, is that the education system in the U.S., possibly more than in a lot of other countries, has become swamped in this culture of standardization and standardized testing. And I think one of the consequences of that is that it's robbing children and teachers of their creativity. And creativity seems to me to be absolutely vital, not only individually, but for the future of the economy, for the future of the country as a whole. And one of the consequences of the current culture of education here in the US is that it's on average about 1 in 3 children, 30%, drop out of public education between the 9th grade and the 12th grade. I mean, that's a catastrophe by any measure, really. And I think when you have a dropout rate on that scale, you can't blame the kids at that point. Yes. You've got to look at the system. Yes. You know, I mean, you run a business. If 30% of your customers walked away, you wouldn't blame them.
Yes.
You'd say, we're doing something wrong here.
That's right.
And we are doing something wrong. We're not engaging them. The good news is there are some great schools across the country and some great programs, but I think they are really, at the moment, the exception rather than the rule. And they're great despite the dominant culture, not because of it. So a lot of what I'm keen to do, and why I think events like today are very important, is to contribute to changing the culture. Because I think our children and teachers have a huge amount to offer, and they're not really being given access to that just now.
Yes. You know, creativity is a lot about inspiration. It's a lot about personal passion, and I know that you've given a lot of thought to that and have written a book about personal passion.
Yeah.
Talk about the role of personal passion as it relates to creativity and innovation.
Well, the book is called The Element, How Finding Your Passion Changes Everything. And I have to tell you, Dan, it is terrific.
Okay.
If I say so myself, it's a wonderful piece of work. Now, what it's based on is just a perception I've had for a long time that a lot of people don't enjoy the work they do, or honestly, the lives they lead. You know, they just get on with it, and they endure their lives rather than enjoy them, and they wait for the weekend. But I also meet people who love what they do and couldn't imagine doing anything else. You know, if you said to them, why don't you change track and try something different, they wouldn't know what you were talking about. They'd say, but this isn't what I do, this is who I am. You know, this defines me. And the casual language we use for that is to say they're in their element. Well, I interviewed lots and lots of people about this, and the foundation of it is this, that to be in your element, I think, is two things. The first is that you're doing something that you're naturally good at. But I know lots of people who are naturally good at all kinds of things. They may be good at mathematics. They may have a natural flair for music. They may have a natural flair for languages or sport. So that's the first thing, finding things you're good at. And the reason that matters is because we're all very different. Our talents are very different. You know, I often ask people if they have 2 or more children. Do you, by the way?
I have 2 sons, yes, sir.
Well, let me make a bet with you. I don't know them, but I'll make you a bet that they are completely different from each other.
I wonder who the father was of the second one.
I won't press you on this. But well, you know, I have 2 children, and they're completely different. I'm one of 7 children, and we're all completely different. I'm sure that's true of you. And it's true of anybody. And the reason is that we're all different. We all have unique talents. We're all a unique moment in history, and our talents are very various and very diverse. One of the big problems for education is it's all about conformity. When you know, because you work in business, what you're looking for all the time are different strengths in people, the things they are naturally good at. So that's the first thing. But the second thing is passion, because to be in your element, it's not enough to be good at something. I know all kinds of people who are good at things they don't really like to do. They don't care for it. They just happen to be good at it. But if you're good at something you love, well, you never work again at that point. I always hear people say this. I'm amazed they pay me for it. This is great. I do this for free. And one of the ways you can tell if you're doing something you love is your energy changes, your sense of time changes. 5 minutes, if you're doing something you don't like, can feel like an hour. Yes. But if you're doing something you love, an hour feels like 5 minutes. Yes. You look up and think, is that the time?
Yes. Final question, wrap-up question. Tell us, is there a difference between success and significance?
Absolutely, I think there is. I think we've managed to persuade ourselves for too long that success is about material acquisitions. And you don't need me to say it, and I live here, so I haven't come to make a cheap shot about America. But that's probably especially true of America. It's also true to Europe increasingly. But yes, I think that we've raised ourselves and our children, I think, with some very stereotypical views of success. It's about position, it's about certain levels of wealth and acquiring goods. I remember reading an interview with a guy who'd been working with Aboriginal peoples in Australia, and one of the leaders of that group said to this guy from America, "Why do Americans have so much cargo?" He said, "What do you mean cargo?" He said, "No, stuff. Why do you have so much stuff?" That's quite a recent thing. For us to have cargo.
Yeah. Most people can't store it in their houses, in the closets. They have to get public storage to store it.
That's right, and they never look at it. They never see it. And but actually, what people really need, I think, is some sense of significance in their lives, a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning. It's what Viktor Frankl talked about, who was a survivor of the Holocaust. He said, people can get through all types of things as long as they have a purpose and a sense of meaning. I had a tremendous experience about 1.5 years ago in Vancouver. I was the moderator for the opening session of the Vancouver Peace Summit. And it was a very interesting panel. But the center of the panel, there were 8 of us on the panel, was the Dalai Lama. And we had an hour with 2,000 people, and the theme was World Peace through Personal Peace. So we had an hour down to sort all of that, so we were just killing time for the last 20 minutes, what should we talk about now? But it was a great conversation, and there were several things that he said that I loved. One of them was, he said that, to be born at all is a miracle. And it is, if you think of it. All the people throughout history who had to meet, and the circumstances in which they had to meet, to give birth to all the people who eventually gave birth to your grandparents, who eventually gave birth to your parents, then you, over the 50,000 years that we've had Homo sapiens on the planet. Well, to be born at all is a miracle. We made it. And his point is, so what are you going to do with it now? Are you going to waste it? Are you going to fritter your life away? Or are you going to do something worthwhile with it? Is it going to add up to something? And I think this quest for purpose and significance is at the heart of it.
What a great thought. Thank you for being with us at the Chick-fil-A Leadercast.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you.